All right. How you doing, my man? You doing good?
I'm doing good. Getting ready to celebrate this nation's independence tomorrow. I see you got the stars all over the Bitcoin hat on your head. So it looks like you're ready too.
Just hit 110,000 again, bro. I mean, we're 1,900 away from the record, 2,000, and we got the record. So that's going to happen. And the big, beautiful bill was passed, which they get to raise the debt ceiling $5 trillion. They're going to print, baby. Yeah.
Okay. I need to educate myself more. I did see that not come across, but I need to educate myself on what it all means.
Yes. Yeah. Those of us that follow the market, what they did today was absolutely horrible for the future of this of the United States. But on the short term, if you're in certain parts of the market, you're going to end up benefiting from it. You know, unfortunately, that's going to be a very small minority in this country that's going to benefit from it. So, but that's a whole other conversation that you don't need to be taking part in. I tread in that kind of water with no problem. I have no problem dealing in that. But anyway, let's move on. I thought Chris Grier turned an absolute horrible situation into the most positive situation you can possibly do this week, considering everything that went on.
That's fair. Yeah, that's fair, because you can look at it from one way of the net gain or loss of talent, and then say, well, all right, well, if you add up Jalen Ramsey and Jonnu Smith, and then you only get Minkah Fitzpatrick back, and then plus Darren Waller, which is a huge wild card, you don't know what you're going to get. He was just retired. Then, okay, that's one perspective. But these are two players who weren't going to play for you in Jalen Ramsey and Jonnu Smith. Or Jonnu Smith, at least you would have had to nearly triple his salary, which is what he's getting in Pittsburgh, in order to retain him. So do you take keeping them a disgruntled Ramsey, which I don't even think you could have it fixed that situation in any way, and then pay Jonnu Smith 3 times what you got him for on a great deal before that, just to keep him around? Then no, I thought it was great. I mean, when I saw Minkah Fitzpatrick's name first come up on, I forget if it was Pelissero or Schefter that first got that part of it. Right. It was just like, whoa, okay, wait, they actually got something. And we all thought it would be late round picks, maybe a 5th. We were calculating how much of Jalen Ramsey's salary the Dolphins would probably need to pony up just to get something halfway decent, and they end up getting back. Sure, a lot of people will say Fitzpatrick has lost a step, whatever the case may be. Maybe he fits better under Anthony Weaver in this defense and can be versatile. The way
don't move him around. They didn't move him around in Pittsburgh. They will move him around. And by the way, just to add a little caveat to people that don't understand what happened also on the X's and O's side. You have a Swiss Army knife type player that you didn't use that way in Pittsburgh, but you desperately need in Miami because you have a secondary that has no idea what the hell they're doing. And if there was a perfect safety for this situation, it would be a Minkah type player, the guy that can move around and help you out in different areas. Now, the problem with Minkah will be here is he cannot cover every hole in the dike. That's just not going to happen either. So that's also the unfair part too for Minkah. But he does bring the skill set that you need for the deficiency that you have.
Right. Especially as you're losing a cornerback. You were getting this versatility out of the cornerback position with Jalen Ramsey. You're losing the guy that was your Swiss Army knife, that ultimate chess piece, as Anthony Weaver put it. Then now, okay, you can get that out of a safety who can be versatile in the secondary. You can put him in the box. You can line him up in a nickel and make up for some of your other deficiencies. So you did need that versatile piece because before that, yes, Ifeatu Melifonwu, the new safety that they picked up from the Lions in free agency, he could do some of that stuff. He could line up all over. that's great. But I don't know if you wanted to count on him as that guy when you're losing a Jalen Ramsey. Now you've got a certified, bona fide, multi-time Pro Bowler, All-Pro. He was just named a Pro Bowler this past season despite his struggles. I know sometimes it's like career accolades that lead to that. I know Ramsey got one in Miami based off his previous stuff, and Xavier Howard one time was like, I didn't really deserve it, and he got a Pro Bowl selection based off what he had done previously. Maybe there was some of that with Fitzpatrick's last Pro Bowl, but still a guy who's 28, and you can still maybe rekindle some of that, bring him back to Miami where he was your once a first-round pick, and now Melifonwu can still move around along with Fitzpatrick, who will spearhead that effort in the secondary, and not to mention Kader Kohou as well at cornerback. He can play on the boundary and nickel, primarily a nickel, but you can also move him inside and out as you move these other pieces around. So a lot of versatile pieces that can move in unison.
Yeah, but let's pump the brakes, okay? None of these guys are proven. None of these guys have ever put together an entire season and proven that they're legit. Not Kader Kohou, nobody has done that. Not any of the guys they brought in free agency. These are all things that you're kind of hoping and wishing that this falls into place and that falls into place, and maybe it does. Maybe some of this stuff falls into place, but it's also a little unfair to put any kind of expectations on that secondary, to be quite honest. It really is.
No, the secondary remains a huge question mark. As yes, you did get a Minkah Fitzpatrick out of it, but you still don't know what you're getting out of him based off what he just did in Pittsburgh last year. Some lapses in coverage back there, maybe losing a step. Hopefully he has worked on that this offseason. He's still 28, so you feel like he could still have that. And you're going to count on also this pass rush helping the secondary because you don't know how many of those other guys are going to hold up. Yeah, if Minkah Fitzpatrick moves around, you still are pending on who that other cornerback, that big free agent cornerback signing is going to be to be there on the outside. So you still have that offseason checklist item to check off. And then aside from that, you don't know how well these guys are going to hold up. You're going to need that pass rush to get home to the quarterback and make quarterbacks feel the pressure, get rid of the ball quickly, and hopefully make some mistakes if you're the Dolphins. Because if they have time, they're going to tear up.
Yeah. No, I'm with you there. It's going to be a challenge for them overall. Now, as for the tight end, I've told you my theory on what's going on here. Okay? The front office and ownership are on the same page, I feel. And they in this offseason at some point realized they screwed up with McDaniel. And they have now built the team the way they want to. These aren't guards that McDaniel normally likes to go after. He doesn't go after big backs in Madison and Ollie. They went after meat for the D-line to help out Weaver for sure. They went out and got another big wide receiver, which is very dangerous with this guy because he cannot make a big wide receiver work in his offense. So I think there's been a come to Jesus, like I told you, with McDaniel. Like, yo, we need to do things this way, and you're going to have to adjust, sink or swim. And they're no longer putting money into him. That's why they didn't want to sign Jonnu Smith to a long-term contract, because they don't know if McDaniel will be back next year. I think McDaniel's the one that's on the double secret probation, and that tells me that I don't have any proof of this, but the way that Chris Grier ran this entire offseason, he ran it super responsible. He got 3rd and 5th round picks for the future now in the next 2 years. He never, ever attacked this offseason like his job or even McDaniel's job is on the line. And this, what happened this week, was the ultimate example. Because you end up trading Jonnu Smith, a Pro Bowl player. And I, after we had you on, I gave my opinion on a guy that you should go after. And I said, you should go after Foster Moreau. He's the backup in New Orleans. Johnson is the starter. He was the number one wide receiver in New Orleans last year. He had 548 yards, 3 touchdowns, 50 catches. Moreau, who, by the way, who fought cancer and won, caught 32 balls for 413 yards, 5 touchdowns, 12.9 yards per carry. They have 2 good tight ends. And Johnson's the younger one and the guy that they probably want to keep. Moreau would be a guy you have to give something up because you're going to pay him $4 or $5 million. Stupid me. I was thinking you were trying to win. So you would bring in somebody actually, and for you to lose a Pro Bowl player and then to turn around to your head coach and offensive coordinator and say, here's a fuck up that's been out of football and thinks he's a rapper. Good luck. I'm telling you what's going on here. He's on double secret probation. And in the first bad streak that goes on, he's done. And Weaver moves in. And every example this offseason has been, we're done with Mike McDaniel. It's on you. You got to sink or swim. They just don't want to fire him because they just gave him the stupid contract. So the only way they can justify a firing is struggling at some point this season. And that's the inevitable. But your thoughts on the whole Waller situation, because I see all the positive spin that's going on out there. Maybe he can recapture this and that, and maybe he's just broke after being a failed rapper and he needs money and failed in his relationship and everything else. So I'm just wondering your thoughts on all of that.
Yeah, there was a lot to unpack there. As far as the Mike McDaniel stuff, I know you're heavy on the train of that his fate is already sealed. I think it's more of, yes, you are trying to win this year with him, see what you can get, but you instilled that he's got to alter how he goes about it. There's got to be greater physicality, which is smart in bringing in 2 guards, one as your highest priced veteran free agent, one who you traded up in the second round to acquire. You're losing Teron Armstead on the line, but you have a huge left tackle that you drafted in the second round the year before that you're bringing in to be another physical presence on that line. You got 2 big-bodied backs. You put an emphasis on the trenches, on the D-line in this draft. So there's a lot that says we are trying to become more
big receiver. Icon. Yeah. That's been a disaster here, bro. That's been a disaster. Under McDaniel, it's been a disaster. Because Gesicki actually worked under Flores. He caught 70 balls under Flores. Shit.
Right. Yeah. Which on that front, that actually ties in with departing from Jonnu Smith is that Jonnu Smith, he was never a blocking tight end. He was another receiver as a tight end. Put up the numbers he did with so much defensive pressure going to Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. Now, you can get some of that from a big receiver, the same way you did Jonnu Smith, who was still on for like 55% of snaps last year. He wasn't in there to block. It was the passing game that the Dolphins were highlighting him. So Nick Westbrook-Akine could still play that role just out of the big-bodied receiver role instead of the tight end. And now Darren Waller, yeah, you're not looking for him to be a blocker. I know Mina Kimes was critical on the Dolphins for bringing him in, like it's playing into the lack of physicality that they've been known for. But that's not what you bring Darren Waller in for. You already have Julian Hill. You're hoping that you develop him further to be that inline blocking tight end physical presence. You brought in Pharaoh Brown as a veteran tight end who's known for his blocking. He's not out there to be a big pass catcher. So those are the guys that you have to do that part of the job. And then now Darren Waller, you're hoping, of course, and it is just hope. He did take a full season off, so you don't know that you can get this out of him, but that you can rekindle some of that 2020, 2021 form when he was a beast for the Raiders and doing all that he did. He's not going to go do all that, but you're hoping you can get some semblance of that combined with NWI to be some of those bigger targets that can complement Hill and Waddle on the outside. And, of course, Achane catches the ball plenty out of the backfield as well.
Don't forget, folks, Welt Rheaume, proud sponsors of this segment and, of course, the entire platform at 954-966-3666. 4646. If unfortunately you're dealing with bankruptcy issues, homeowner property damage, condo damage, criminal defense, business owner claims, commercial litigation, personal injury, call our guys at 954-966-4646. The consultation is completely free. All right, so no corner yet. I see you agree with me with Asante Samuel Jr. What do you got going on in the Sentinel? What's on the watch? What's on the Dolphin watch over the weekend?
Yeah, we're a little bit that's the last thing remaining now for the Dolphins is that cornerback selection. So tomorrow the Dolphins will be celebrating life, liberty, and the pursuit of a remaining veteran free agent cornerback. Because that's the one thing they got left to do after trading Jalen Ramsey, Jonnu Smith, finding what they hope is a Jonnu replacement in Darren Waller. So that's still the big question mark. I like Asante Samuel Jr. I'm a little worried about the neck issue, as anyone should be, but he would still be my top choice if you kind of clear that medically and get some good feedback.
Who's his agent? Do you know?
Asante Samuel Jr. I am not sure off the top of my head.
Because one of the reasons I like him is because he's also young, and Chris Grier is notorious with the 2-year special. And this is the kind of player, like the older guys that are available, you don't use a 2-year special. That's a 1-year contract. But with a Samuel, because he's had an injury history, and if he comes back, he has all the potential that you can steal that second year like they did with Agba and Jonnu and all that, although the Jonnu thing got sour because Drew Rosenhaus got exposed for negotiating a terrible contract. So, he had to try to get his ass out of that bind. And so, that's a whole different conversation. But I'm just saying, I would, to me, the Samuel 2-year deal would be nice.
Oh, and guess who it is? It's Miami-based, South Florida-based David Cantor.
Okay.
Who also was the agent of Xavier Howard, or is agent of Xavier Howard. Which, by the way, that's one the fans are throwing out there. Everyone wants to know if Xavier Howard would come back. I see you shaking your head right away. Aside from Samuel,
are they smoking Omar Kelly's dreads or something? Is that why they're saying that?
Right. Man, I mean, I know.
It's all right, bro. You don't have to touch it. It's all good, bro. I have fun. I bust everybody's balls. There's nobody that is safe on this program. So that's just kind of the way it goes. But anyway, follow him on Twitter at David Furones _. Catch his work there at the South Florida Sun Sentinel. He's on the cornerback watch. Have a great weekend. Have a great 4th of July weekend. Load up on that Bitcoin. Be good, my brother.
Yes, sir.
You got it. Welt Rheaume, 954-966-4646. Consultation is completely free. Tell them that Big O sent you.
This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.